Hello, my friends. Welcome back for this edition of the Justus Knight Show. My name, of course, is Justus Knight. I want to thank you each for being here. You know, I like to start with my sponsors first because I don't want to be interrupted when I get on my rant. So I want to, once again, My Patriot Supply for all your prepping needs. Amazing company, amazing group of people. The link is preparewithlisa.com, which you see on your screen, and also it's always below my references. And as a reminder, if you need my references for any of these articles, go to justusknight.com, again, below in my references, and you will see everything you need to find. So you could go ahead and read these articles because I invite you to, because you need to, because the reality of what's happening around us is just unbelievable. So I want you to see it directly from the sources themselves. Case in point, wearethemighty.com, a military publication I keep on top of because of articles just like this that came out. 6 military technological breakthroughs to look for in 2019. You get that? 6 military technology breakthroughs to look for in 2019. Now, that's really not the broadcast. Yeah, we're going to go through each one of them. But what it is how it's tying into our future super soldier and the agenda, the underlying agenda of DARPA and our U.S. military. Oh, you're going to be shocked. It's actually really simple. But you got to put the pieces together, which we're going to at the very end of this video, so stay tuned. But let's start, because we've covered some of these already. The first is the augmented reality that they count. This is the new battlefield. And as you'll see here, articles have been out all year about it. The future of war may be virtual, because there's a difference, though, between virtual reality and augmented reality. Augmented reality is using a device, putting this very simply, to help the soldier be more effective. Let's take, for example, a pair of goggles that is being fed information from a forward robot or maybe a forward drone, feeding the lenses so that the soldier can see better, augmenting their reality. Great, sounds great, right? Would make our soldiers more effective. And you know, as I said in every broadcast, if anybody's behind our soldiers more than anyone else, it's me. I want to see as many of their lives saved. So if this technology would truly be used for those purposes, phenomenal. But technology, as we've covered, has always proven time and time again to fall into the wrong hands. And when you're augmenting reality, what company's running that augmented reality and what's being put, for example, into those goggles? Is the enemy being changed to look different? That technology's there. I've proven it to you. So now, is that target truly what the soldier may or may not see? Or is it the computer running the new reality? So there's warning number 1, which will lead up to our final point. We're going to jump forward in this article just one more step. Robots joining human squads. I just covered this 2 broadcasts ago. This means that if a soldier can't see, and again, we always put everything in simple examples here. If the drone flies around a building or the forward robots, which they want to put onto the battlefield, can do the forward thinking for the soldiers, and also, scary part, target identification. So again, we have to rely and trust the technology that it is truly acquiring a valid and legitimate target. Primarily right now surrounding the urban environment, and urban warfare is terrifying. Urban warfare creates a great danger for our soldiers in that there is so many hidden places that they can't see who's firing at them. So again, technology used good, phenomenal. Technology used bad, it means that if the war of the robots ever does happen, they'll be able to identify us. The soldier will be able to fire the trigger, and whatever's coming at us, they'll never see us face to face. So have they augmented that reality? Just tying this article back together. But let's jump forward one more step. U.S. hypersonic missiles get faster, more operable. Hypersonic missiles are the ultimate first strike weapon. They fly at 5 times the speed of sound or faster, making it nearly impossible for ballistic missile interceptors to catch them. Well, that one really made me scratch my head. Because if you missed it, there was an article that just came out. Lockheed Martin hired to provide missile defenses for Hawaii. A $585 million contract given by the Pentagon. allegedly to protect against North Korea. But wasn't it just not too long ago there was a false alert that fired over, missile false alarm sparks calls for better missile defense. But why are we doing that if we're talking about hypersonic missiles being unstoppable? You see how none of this makes sense? This is a quagmire of the money-making machine of the U.S. military complex. That is what I take issue with. But now, of course, we've had the war of words on hypersonic missiles because who's working on them? None other than Vladimir Putin, who just called the designer of the hypersonic missiles, called him up for treason, by the way. But Russia's not the only, because if you just thumb down a little bit further in this article, you will see the Chinese test of Wave Rider hypersonic aircraft, aka missile, aka, oh great, the three superpowers are all in a battle again. So of course we're going to be talking about hypersonic missiles. But why are we creating a missile defense system when we've already said the technology of these missiles can't be stopped? You got to look at all sides of the argument to understand what's happening all around you. Why I love covering military articles, because if we're going to ever have to prepare for our frontline defense, you have to understand what's coming at you. And this channel, as you all know, is all about the education of that. So you have vertical lift aircraft to replace the Black Hawk. That's what they're trying to do here. Not extremely critical until you get to light tank prototypes will be unveiled. Again, not extremely critical. But you always got to watch what color those are painted to know what the next warfare stage will be. No big secret there, but just something to keep aware of when you look at these pictures. This is where it gets a little creepy. More autonomous aircraft, especially Army helicopters. Take the Army helicopter and throw that away. Because the autonomous aircraft is the part I want to focus in on, which brings us almost to our final point and what I'm warning everybody about. So the military, it seems, and we could just thumb up a little bit here, it seems like the civilian market rolls out a new drone every week, and drone designs come around every few months. But the Army is trying to get a kit made that would actually change military aviation, a software and hardware suite that could make every Black Hawk and other helicopters into optionally piloted drones. Trying to. I love pulling these little words out of these articles. Trying to. We're not sure if we can. Air Force hopes to arm stealth F-35s, F-15s, and F-16s with the ultimate weapon. Now, I know you're not going to be surprised that if I go down in this article, that it's going to tell you. The Air Force and DARPA are now testing new hardware and software configured to enable fourth-generation aircraft to command drones from the cockpit in the air, bringing new levels of autonomy, more attack options, and a host of new reconnaissance advantages to air warfare. Okay, so trying to develop it, or you have already developed it and are actually testing it, and you plan to make planes, trains, automobiles, tanks, whatever it may be, completely autonomous, along with the first strike that we talked about, the robots and drones sitting on our front lines for our soldiers. So now all of a sudden the battlefield is becoming completely autonomous. You notice a problem with that? I do. Because that allows the machines to run the kill response. Otherwise, loss. Beyond the lethal, in lethal autonomous weapons, applications of laws in theaters of conflict for middle powers. What this talks about is the lethal autonomous response. Again, putting it into a very simple example. I train a robot to defend my border. That robot has been programmed to identify a threat and neutralize it. What is the law behind what that threat could or couldn't be? And what is it allowed and how is it allowed to neutralize it? Or if I have an augmented reality and I'm the soldier sitting back in my office or cubicle running an F-35 through my augmented reality, through the technology that is now allowing me to operate that plane without being in it, sitting back on my chair, relaxing with the joystick in my hand. Sound familiar? Does it sound like, well, anybody who has teenagers, what they're sitting in their rooms doing 24/7 between Fortnite and all the other games where the kill response is kill as much as you can? Because that's what your computer screen, you've been trained to do to win the game for years now and years and decades. We have trained generation after generation to be stone cold killers on video games. But now our military is rushing and making sure all our assets are autonomous or can be controlled through virtual or augmented reality platforms. Are you seeing a new battlefield? A bunch of gamers sitting in a room, detached from the battlefield, detached from the targets, put onto a computer screen, playing a video game with people's lives. That's the new battlefield. And if you don't think I have documentation, the U.S. Army has a plan to recruit gamers. My friends, the reality, like I've said a million times, is always right before our eyes. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're telling you what they're making the battlefield into because it is so much easier. Because those soldiers who've served, and for each of you listening that have, and I've talked to numerous of you, and I know the pain that you felt, and I know the decisions you had to make. But those decisions get muted, and they get softened when you're looking at a computer screen because that reality is no longer there. You're detached from the reality of the kill. That's terrifying, my friends. The U.S. military is doing it. That's what they're designing. That's what we need to be prepared for, because if the U.S. military is doing it, so are our enemies. And my friends, that's why when you see these little articles, and I love that you join me here, and I hope you continue to, and I hope you continue to spread the word. And yeah, I get sarcastic sometimes, and I get facetious, but that's just to keep the energy and focus like a laser beam on what's happening, because I want you to be informed, because I need you to inform as many people as you can. And as I always ask, if you have the means, I hope you can support this broadcast via Patreon or PayPal. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just reach out to me. My email's on my website. Just shoot me an email, and I'll give you other ways to do it. It really means the world to me. It helps these broadcasts to stay out. But most importantly, Godspeed and God bless. We need it. We need it against what all these militaries are designing. They're designing a cold, dark, killing beast that will be detached from any reality. Don't call it augmented. Don't call it virtual. Call it non-reality. Because they can control exactly what those targets are anytime the computers are involved. So until next time, my name again is Justus Knight. Tuning in.